Geno says a lot of things to the media about his team, about his players, that are starting to rub certain people the wrong way. And it started to make me think about if Geno's coaching style is affecting Paige Bueckers and the trajectory of her career, and has maybe halted her a little bit in becoming the best player that she can possibly be.
What happens when a star player crosses the line and her legendary coach finally snaps? Paige Bueckers isn't just any player, she's the face of UConn women's basketball, a generational talent with an electrifying presence both on and off the court. But now, she's at the center of a shocking controversy, as whispers of internal conflict swirl and rival players begin to steal the spotlight. One question looms large: has this star's shining path been thrown off course? Or is there something deeper at play? Stay tuned, because the truth behind this story might just change everything you thought you knew about loyalty, leadership, and what it really takes to stay on top.
Bueckers and the UConn Huskies front and center this season in women's basketball. Some fans are starting to question Gino Auriemma's coaching style and wondering if it's truly what's best for Paige.
Paige Bueckers burst onto the scene at UConn as more than just a promising player. She was a game changer. With her court vision, precise shooting, and jaw-dropping basketball IQ, she quickly became the heartbeat of her team. Fans weren't just watching a star in the making, they were witnessing the rise of a new era in women's basketball. Off the court, Paige's charisma made her an icon. Her playful TikToks, witty Instagram posts, and genuine interactions with fans only added to her allure. She wasn't just a player, she was a brand, a relatable figure who felt more like a friend than a superstar. But behind every great player is a coach who shapes their journey, and for Paige, that coach is Gino Auriemma. Known for his no-nonsense, old-school approach, Gino built a dynasty at UConn with an iron will and an unmatched ability to push his players to greatness. Yet this dynamic between the fun-loving superstar and the hard-nosed veteran coach has always been one to watch. Gino saw Paige's potential from day one and wasn't afraid to be tough on her to help her reach it. But lately, some have wondered if that tough love has turned into something more complicated. And now, as tensions boil over, fans can't help but wonder, did this father-daughter-like relationship hit an unfixable snag, or is there something bigger brewing beneath the surface? The moment that sent shockwaves through UConn's fanbase came during a press conference when Gino Auriemma made a stunning announcement. Paige Bueckers would no longer be practicing with the team, for now. His words were calm, but his expression told a different story. There was a glint in his eye, almost as if this decision had been a long time coming. Was this about enforcing discipline, or was there an unspoken message between the lines? At first, many assumed it was just a routine move, a temporary break due to an injury. Gino himself hinted that Paige was dealing with a lower body strain and would be back in a week. But fans and analysts weren't convinced. Why the cryptic tone? Why make such a public statement if it was purely about an injury? The timing couldn't have been worse. Paige, now in her final year at UConn, was supposed to be leading the charge in what could be her last season before the WNBA draft, yet here she was, sidelined. Some began to speculate, was this Gino's way of sending a message, or was he struggling with the weight of knowing he'd soon lose his star player? As the questions piled up, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about a strained muscle. Something deeper was at play, and the truth was unraveling in ways no one could have predicted. Officially, Paige was sidelined due to a lower body strain, a common enough occurrence for any athlete. Gino played it cool, reassuring everyone that she'd be back in a week. But something about his tone made fans and analysts skeptical. Why announce it so publicly? And why frame it in a way that hinted at something beyond a simple recovery? For some, this seemed like Gino's way of regaining control, subtly reinforcing that no player, no matter how talented, is above the team. For others, it raised questions about Paige's relationship with Gino. Was this a quiet power struggle, or was it something more personal? Adding to the speculation was Paige's history of injuries. Every time she's been sidelined, the narrative of her durability has come into question, especially with WNBA scouts keeping a close eye on her. While her talent is undeniable, the whispers about whether she can withstand the demands of a professional schedule have only grown louder. Fans couldn't help but wonder, is this really just about her physical condition, or is the pressure of being college basketball's biggest star starting to take its toll? Whatever the case, the stakes were climbing, and both Paige and Gino knew that the world was watching their next move. From the moment Paige Bueckers stepped onto the court at UConn, the spotlight was hers. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was carrying the weight of an entire sport on her shoulders. Every game was a headline, every play a viral moment, but with fame comes pressure, and Paige felt it all. The expectations were relentless. Dominate every game, lead her team to championships, and stay at the top of her game, all while balancing the scrutiny of social media. Her online presence, filled with lighthearted TikToks and candid moments, made her a fan favorite, but not everyone was impressed. Critics accused her of being distracted, claiming her off-court persona was overshadowing her on-court focus. And when you're the face of women's college basketball, even the smallest misstep becomes fuel for the media. Paige's injury history only added to the pressure. While she had always bounced back stronger, each setback left lingering doubts in the minds of scouts and fans. Could she withstand the demands of the professional stage? Could she stay healthy long enough to fulfill her potential in the WNBA? For Paige, the stakes couldn't be higher. She wasn't just playing for herself, she was playing for a legacy. But when you're at the top, even the smallest cracks in the foundation can feel like earthquakes. And now, with whispers of conflict and uncertainty swirling around her, the pressure to perform wasn't just about winning games. It was about proving that she could rise above it all. The question was no longer whether Paige was talented enough. It was whether she could handle everything that came with being a superstar. And as the spotlight grew brighter, the weight of stardom had never felt heavier. While the drama at UConn captured headlines, something remarkable was happening at Notre Dame. Olivia Miles was stealing the spotlight. Known for her fierce leadership and clutch performances, Miles was making a compelling case as the next big star in women's basketball. Her numbers were jaw-dropping, 48% from beyond the arc and 7 assists per game. But it wasn't just the stats. It was the way she commanded the court, controlled the pace of the game, and made every player around her better. Meanwhile, UConn was struggling to adjust without their star. The once seamless offensive flow seemed out of sync, and fans couldn't help but notice the stark contrast between the two teams. Notre Dame was thriving, looking like a well-oiled machine, while UConn was caught in uncertainty. The comparisons between Paige and Miles became impossible to ignore. Both were elite talents with different approaches. Paige, the charismatic playmaker with a magnetic social media presence, and Miles, the humble assassin who let her game do the talking. As March Madness loomed closer, a new narrative began to take shape. Could Miles dethrone Paige as the undisputed top pick in the WNBA draft? And if Notre Dame and UConn clashed on the biggest stage, who would come out on top? The fallen queen or the rising star? The rivalry wasn't just about two players. It symbolized a changing era in women's basketball. The question was no longer who was the best player, but which style of leadership and play would define the future. And with every highlight reel Miles put out, the pressure on Paige to reclaim her throne grew stronger. It wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about proving who belonged at the top. At the heart of the Paige Bueckers saga is a deeper debate, the clash between old-school coaching and the modern athlete. Gino Auriemma's coaching legacy is unmatched. His tough-love approach, built on discipline, structure, and respect for tradition, has produced some of the greatest players in women's basketball history. To him, there's no shortcut to greatness. Every victory is forged through hard work and sacrifice. But in an era where athletes are encouraged to express themselves and build their personal brands, Gino's methods are being questioned like never before. Paige Bueckers represents the modern athlete, talented, driven, and unafraid to connect with fans in a way that goes beyond the game. Her TikToks, Instagram posts, and playful persona make her relatable to millions, but they also raise eyebrows among traditionalists who value quiet focus over social media engagement. On the other side is Notre Dame's head coach, who represents a more adaptive approach, embracing individuality while fostering team chemistry. Under this system, Olivia Miles has flourished, thriving in an environment that balances freedom and structure. Fans and analysts are divided. Some argue that Gino's strict approach has built a winning dynasty and prepared players for the WNBA's challenges. Others believe that times have changed and that fostering individuality and creativity is key to developing modern superstars. But one thing is clear, this isn't just a clash of personalities, it's a battle of philosophies. And as UConn navigates life without Paige on the court, the question remains, is Gino's old school style still the blueprint for success? Or is it time for a new playbook? The answer could redefine not only UConn's legacy, but the future of women's basketball itself. The fallout from the Paige Geno controversy wasn't just playing out on the court, it was exploding online. Basketball Twitter was on fire with takes and opinions, with hashtags like #Team Paige and #Team Geno trending. Fans were divided. Some passionately defended Paige, praising her for staying true to herself and arguing that her personality was part of what made her special. They believed that players should be allowed to express themselves even in team environments. On the other side, Geno's supporters insisted that rules and discipline apply to everyone, even star players. They argued that success comes from respect for the game and the coach, and that Paige's actions were setting a dangerous precedent for younger athletes. Social media debates grew heated, with memes, highlight reels, and hot takes flooding timelines. The conversation wasn't just about one incident, it was about the balance between individuality and team culture in sports. Interestingly, Paige herself stayed quiet online, which only fueled more speculation. Was she taking a step back to reflect, or avoiding adding more fuel to the fire? As the story spread, more than just UConn and Notre Dame fans were tuning in. Casual viewers, WNBA analysts, and even athletes from other sports were weighing in, making this one of the biggest stories in college basketball. The real question remained, could Paige and Geno's story be one of reconciliation, or was this the beginning of a permanent divide that would reshape their legacies? With Paige sidelined, UConn was at a crossroads. The team, once defined by its seamless chemistry and Paige's leadership, now faced a daunting challenge: how to win without their superstar. This was the moment for other players to step up, and some did, showcasing skills that had previously been overshadowed by Paige's dominance. But filling the void left by a player of her caliber was no small task. Every game felt like a test of UConn's resilience, and fans watched closely to see if the team could adapt or if their season would unravel. For Paige, this was a different kind of turning point. She was used to being the leader, the one everyone looked to in clutch moments. But now, forced to watch from the sidelines, she faced an internal battle. Could she find a new perspective and grow from this setback? Many athletes talk about how time away from the game can reignite their passion and sharpen their focus. And for Paige, this could be that moment, a chance to reflect on her journey, rediscover her love for the game, and come back hungrier than ever. Meanwhile, Geno was also facing a pivotal moment in his coaching career. His legacy was built on guiding players through adversity, but this time the adversity wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about leadership, trust, and adapting to a new generation of athletes. The stakes were clear. This turning point could either break the team apart or make them stronger than ever. And as the clock ticked toward the most critical part of the season, one question lingered: would this challenge fuel UConn's resurgence, or mark the beginning of the end for their dynasty? For Paige, this wasn't just about getting back on the court. It was about proving to herself and the world that she could rise from this setback and remind everyone why she was once considered untouchable. The timing of Paige's absence couldn't have come at a more crucial point. With the WNBA draft just around the corner, scouts and analysts weren't just watching her game, they were dissecting her every move off the court. For years, Paige was seen as a lock for the #1 first overall pick. Her court vision, leadership, and scoring ability made her a generational talent. But in professional sports, talent alone isn't enough. Availability and durability are just as important. Each injury, each sideline moment added fuel to the growing debate. Is Paige Bueckers built to withstand the demands of the WNBA's grueling schedule? Meanwhile, Olivia Miles' stock was rising fast. As Paige recovered, Miles was lighting up highlight reels, showing not just elite-level stats, but poise and leadership under pressure. Scouts couldn't ignore her dominance on the court, and unlike Paige, she had no injury cloud hanging over her. Beyond the stats, teams also had to consider marketability. Paige's social media following and magnetic personality made her a dream for endorsements. But some wondered, would her growing brand distract from her game? Meanwhile, Miles was building her reputation the traditional way, by winning and staying consistent. The WNBA draft isn't just about who can put up the best numbers, it's about who can carry a franchise. Teams were asking tough questions. Do you bet on the proven star who's faced setbacks but shown resilience? Or do you take the rising player who's peaking at the perfect time? The stakes were massive. A #1 pick isn't just an honor, it's a statement. And for Paige, this wasn't just about her stats or skill set anymore. It was about proving that she had the mental toughness, durability, and leadership to be the face of the next generation of the WNBA. How she handled this chapter in her journey wouldn't just define her draft position, it could redefine her entire legacy. The clock was ticking, and everyone was waiting to see if Paige Bueckers' next move would be her ultimate comeback, or the moment her crown slipped away. Paige Bueckers' journey has always been one of brilliance, resilience, and pressure. But now, as she faces one of the most pivotal moments of her career, the question isn't just whether she can return to form, it's whether she can rise above the noise, the expectations, and the setbacks to cement her legacy. With Olivia Miles making her case as the next big star and UConn navigating uncharted waters without their leader, the stakes have never been higher. Will this be Paige's ultimate comeback story, or is the future of women's basketball shifting in a new direction? The next chapter is about more than stats and titles. It's about redefining what it means to be a leader in modern sports. What do you think? Will Paige come back stronger than ever, or is Olivia Miles destined to take the crown? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're as hooked as we are on this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update on the most captivating rivalry in college basketball today. The road to March Madness is heating up, and trust us, this is a story you'll want to follow until the very end.